a very warm welcome to Bharata First. You're watching UPSC Corner with me, Pereira. Since you're here, please like the video, subscribe, hit the bell icon, and share the video as well so that more people get to know about Bharata First. You can also subscribe to our newsletter to get some incisive information. If you like our content, please contribute to keep it alive. A small contribution that you make will be a giant leap for us to keep bringing you this content. Let me also inform you that we have some massive discounts at the Knowledge Center, and we will be closing registrations for the existing packages very soon. This is your last chance to get these offerings. Go to kc.bharatafirst.com and register right now. Don't miss out on this amazing new way of learning. All this information, along with some must-see recommendations, are in the description of the video. Please go through it. Well, it's time to continue our series Toppers Talk on UPSC Corner. Over the past month, we've met quite a few toppers from the UPSC CSE 2020. Today, it's time to meet 4 more such young achievers. And this episode is special as all of these toppers have a strong connection with me and Bharata First. Let's get to know their stories of success in this episode of Toppers Talk. It is a pleasure to welcome on UPSC Corner Aparna Ramesh, Avhad Nivrutti Somath, Kunal Yadav, and Saureesh Sahai. Firstly, congratulations to all of you and welcome to Bharata First. It's really a pleasure to have you all here. Let me start with Aparna first. Aparna, congratulations. Take us through the journey. How was it? We've interacted before as well, and I hope that that interaction has played a part in where you are today.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you for your wishes. And I must thank you for your input during my mock interview. I think it was on the final days before my interview, and I was struggling with my confidence levels. And what you said really boosted my confidence, and it helped me in the final day as well. And my journey, my journey in 2 years now, and I started when I was in the final year of my master's degree. I was studying urban planning in Ahmedabad. I had the opportunity to interact with several IAS officers, and I felt that I too could be a part of the civil services. And since then, it's been 2 attempts, and finally, I've found my name on the list.
Wonderful. And you found your name well on top of that list as well. So kudos to you, and a job very well done, and a fine job done indeed. So what was the most challenging aspect of your journey, Aparna? And did you at any point in time feel that you've had enough?
Well, I think the challenge was that I had already invested many years into developing a specialization. My first attempt was at the age of 26. So I felt that I should give it my best shot, even if it means just 1 attempt or 2 attempts. And so I just tried my best. And even though I was trying to balance work and the preparation at the same time, I felt that overcoming the hurdles and the obstacles of balancing the career as well as the preparation process was my biggest challenge. And thankfully, I was able to overcome that.
Wonderful. Good. And good to see you here as well. And expecting a lot from you in the years to come. And we hope that you serve the people and the public of this nation in the truest spirit. Kunal, we interact again as well. And it's good to be sharing this space with you. I think you are the 2nd or 3rd winner of the mega quiz that Bharata First hosts. And we shared the space on the hot seat as well. So, but unfortunately, I wasn't tracking your movements and I wasn't tracking your journey. But thank you for writing into Bharata First and letting us know that you've cleared. And I've been a big part of that success story as well. Very kind of you, and thank you for the acknowledgement. It means a lot. Many people, once they clear and once they move ahead in life, forget about their past and don't bother about it. But thank you for the acknowledgement. It feels great and it feels fantastic. And congratulations to you.
Thank you so much, sir. Sir, I talked to you during FRP on Hot Seat, episode number 3.
3, okay, sorry, my fault.
Yeah, and that time I was preparing for interviews, and your channel you had just started your channel, and I was obviously a watcher of Big Picture from your Rajya Sabha days. And from then onwards, my current affairs preparation for the interview phase was solely based on Big Picture and the detailed discussions in those 30 minutes that used to happen. So having those insightful content and some value additions that the esteemed panel members used to give played a major role. And in all aspects, I found it very helpful in my overall thinking about the particular issues that were going on. And so after the results, I thought I owe it to acknowledge this contribution, and that's why I nailed you.
Very kind of you. Very kind of you. So how was your journey? Take us through your journey as well. Let's hear it.
Sir, I graduated in 2015 and my first attempt was in 2018. So my primary concern with regards to this examination was that it's too tough. I was scared of it. So I wanted to secure my career first, and on the back of financial and career security, once I had achieved that, I thought that I should now plunge into the preparation, because I thought that I was not utilizing my potential to the fullest in my current job. So I started preparing, and the thought that I had that I will get into civil services during college days, I thought now I should prepare wholeheartedly for it, because there was no other reason why I should not do it. So this was my second attempt, and it has been around 3 years of overall journey. And fortunately, I was able to clear it this time, and feeling relieved now that I won't have to study again for it.
But does that mean that you're not going to give the exam and probably improve your rank sometime in the future? Is it done as far as Kunal is concerned?
Sir, I'll be getting my desired service, so I don't think I need to give it again now.
Okay, good, wonderful, good to hear that, and good to understand that. And I'm glad that you're sure and certain about what you want and what you want to get in life, and you know what you want to do going forward. That is wonderful, and I'm so happy for you. And thank you for the acknowledgement once again, Saureesh. We too are connecting because of that beautiful mail that you sent. Such a lovely, warm, and heartfelt message that you sent out to us. So very kind of you. I'd like to thank you as well for the acknowledgement, and very kind. And I didn't realize this, but someone was telling me the other day that this is a business, that the toppers are reached out to by certain what do you call them? Well, certain institutes, and they are paid a certain sum to talk about the institute or talk about the name of that institute. So let me make it categorically clear that we have done no such thing. And these gentlemen and Aparna, of course, are here on their own merit and based on their own judgment as well, and they are not forced to do any of this. So let me make that very, very clear as well. I didn't know that. I honestly didn't know that till someone told me, 3 or 4 days ago, that this actually happens. But nonetheless, thank you for being so genuine, Saureesh, and thank you for sending out that heartfelt mail and message. And I feel like I've been a part of your journey, and it feels like you've taken me along on this journey as well. And I would say that a feather in my cap too.
That's very kind of you to say that, sir. But as mentioned by Kunal previously, I think immediately after my results and thankfully having achieved some success in it, I thought that I owe it to everybody that I felt has contributed in me getting into the list. So
you don't have to be that modest, Saureesh. You don't have to be that modest. No. You had already cleared the Indian Forest Service exam. You're an Indian Forest Service officer in 2019, yes. And now you've cracked this exam as well. So say it as it is. Be proud of what you've done.
Absolutely, sir. I'm really proud, sir. But as I mentioned, sir, I have had multiple, sir. I feel like I have had multiple meals with you, because I've been following you since the Rajya Sabha TV days, and all of my lunches and dinners, I have had you on my screen while I've been having my food. So it feels like a long journey along with you, and having culminated in the forest services earlier, and then today in the civil services. I'm really glad, and I'm so happy that you made this gesture of inviting me over and have get a chance to talk to you.
Let me extend that a little further and say that let's have a meal in person the next time you're in the NCR region, And I'd like to sit face to face with you and buy you a meal for all the meals that you have bought me over your preparation days
Oh God,
and fed me.
it will be a great honor, sir. I'd definitely like to do that, sir.
Done. So the next time you're here, let's have a meal. And following that, you reciprocate by buying me a meal with your first UPSC salary. All right?
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely.
Okay, wonderful.
Done.
Wonderful. So tell us about your journey as well. I mean, you've not given up along the way, because you got into the forest service first, and then you decided to pursue your ultimate dream as well. So take us through your journey and how did that go?
So for me, it has been particularly long. So this was my fifth attempt, and I have been giving the exam ever since I graduated in 2016. And I thankfully was lucky enough to have gotten into the forest service earlier, which sort of secured my position, and I got a secured backing in terms of a secure career. And later, sir, I was during the training, I had appeared at the exam, so I had to balance the training work with my preparation here. And thankfully, with God's blessings, my parents' wishes, and everybody else's support, I have managed to clear it this time around. So it's been a particularly long and grueling journey. So it is sort of redemption to have finally made it into the list. So I'm really pleased, and it's just been a big roller coaster ride. Thankfully, it's ended on a high. So that's nice.
Wonderful. And I'm sure that the career too will end on a high. Just keep being positive, keep asserting your good intentions, and don't go astray from the goal. And I'm sure that you'll do wonderfully well, because limited interaction that I've had with you right now makes me believe and makes me understand that your head is in the right place and you will do our nation proud.
Thank you so much, sir. Very kind.
Nivrutti, now coming to you.
Hello,
You've heard all the others before you. Let's hear from you as well. I'm given to understand that you are also part of the knowledge center in some way. So that's good. And I'm happy about that too. So tell us about that. Did it help you in any way? How did Bharata First help you change your mind about certain aspects in life? You know, if there is anything, and tell us about your journey as well, and how did you finally reach where you are today?
So as everyone has told that you have been a part of our preparation process since Rajya Sabha days. Like big picture has been an integral part of our preparation, especially during mains and interview. So, and after that, I think you launched Bharata First before our interview. This interview, like during COVID time, you have been a great source of relief. Means I want to acknowledge that, because I was little tensed during COVID because of my parents. Because currently I'm staying in Jabalpur. My parents are staying in Nasik. I'm posted here in income tax as an assistant commissioner of income tax in Jabalpur. So because of this geographical distance, somehow I used to be very tense because of COVID. But somehow your videos has been a great help, and because of that, I was on track during this interview preparation. Otherwise, as a working person managing all these things, I was having so many excuses not to prepare, not to focus. But I think your channel has guided me a lot in that sense. Since Rajya Sabha days, not just Bharata First, but you have been a source of preparation, a source of knowledge for that. I'm also grateful to that, because of whatever communication skill or whatever knowledge I have garnered over a period of time. Because I'm facing the problem of inferiority complex, because being from hinterland or being from vernacular medium, somehow not able to speak in English has been a source of obstacle since my engineering days. But somehow I have been learning through this process, and you have been a source of inspiration in that regard. So I want to talk about my journey. My journey is very long, if you say. I got graduated in 2011 from University of Pune. I did mechanical engineering. After that, I have worked with organization called as Star Steel India Limited in Odisha for 3 years. Thereafter, due to my friends' insistence and encouragement, Abhijit, who encouraged me to prepare for state services, then I started preparing for state services. I cleared that exam in 15. Thereafter, I started my journey of UPSC. So I cleared my UPSC CSE 16. There in third attempt, I got into Indian Revenue Service Income Tax in CSE 16. Thereafter, actually, my next journey for IS started. I will say that after that, maintaining consistency, maintaining energy has been a challenge. But by God's grace, I got training in 18, 19, I was in training. So it was kind of, relief and recreation for me. So I was out of preparation for most of the time. in 2020, again, I appeared with new enthusiasm and new energy and with everyone's blessing. And I'm grateful to so many people who contributed to my success, that I got 166 rank, and hopefully I will be getting IS this year. So in this process, there have been so many people. Like my friends has been a constant source of support and cooperation. My parents both are uneducated, but they have helped me a lot by not asking any question what you are doing about your career. So that has been a I'm having a kid of 3.5 years. So he has been a source of happiness all the time during preparation, especially COVID time and in this time. And my wife, she has been, tolerating my torture of this UPSC preparation for so long, because once I got married, I started preparation. So it's been a very long journey, as my name says Nivrutti. So it's still a way, like I'm in a Bodhisattva stage, way to Nivrutti. But this has been a very enriching experience, frankly speaking. And now I'm working with income tax since 3-4 years. So being a part of bureaucracy, so coming to know the system. And I think this attempt, I was very practical in writing most of the answers. So somehow this must have helped in cracking the exam, because in the previous attempt, though I was prepared, but there were some lacunas. And I think my practical experience on the field by being in the system must have helped me in cracking the exam. Thank you so much for your support also during this COVID pandemic, especially through your new channel.
So very kind of you. Such a warm, such a heart-touching story, a story that everyone needs to hear. So it's not just those who come from big cities. It is not just those who have access to money and access to all these new forms of education we have can make it big. It is people like Nivrutti as well, who come from small towns. My pranam to both your parents. It is because of them you are here today, and I wish and I prostrate before them and want to get their blessings as well, because that is our sanskara. We look up to our elders, and the more the blessings we get from the elders, the better it is for us. And what a wonderful product they have put in front of us, Nivrutti. What an amazing job to your parents. Please convey my regards and my pranams to them, because it is very important that you do that.
Thank you so much. I will definitely convey that.
And kudos to your wife as well for tolerating your torture,
yes,
as you put it in your words. It must have been very difficult and challenging for her, and also with having a really young child as old as 3.5, because I'm a father myself, so I know how it is. It must have been difficult, but I really salute the dedication of your wife and your child as well, who will slowly understand what all of this means. Wonderful. So let's move forward now. Aparna, let's talk about your journey in particular. All right. And tell us, what was your optional subject? How did you go about studying for the optional subject? And how did you go about, preparing as far as the getting knowledge and gaining knowledge is concerned?
The optional subject was, I think, the trickiest part for me, because I didn't find my graduation or post-graduation subjects in the list of optionals available for this exam. So I think even before preparation, just choosing the subject was quite difficult. And so I made sure to look at the different optionals available and read the syllabus. And finally, I found that I would have to choose one of the humanities subjects, because that was what I was comfortable with. And then it just so happened that I was in Bangalore and I found a couple of mentors who were able to help me for my optional subject, Anthropology. And they were very practical about the approach to the exam. Rather than focusing in depth on Anthropology as a subject, they guided me on how to structure my answers and how to prepare notes for the exam itself. And I think this very practical and very realistic approach helped me score a very high marks in Anthropology this year.
And as far as your interview is concerned, Aparna, did it go as expected? Was there anything that you felt that you would like to, that didn't go as planned? And what would you like to share as far as your personality test was concerned?
Well, the interview is always a little bit unpredictable. So it did go as expected to some extent. Like I knew that there would be a lot of questions from my academic and professional background. And those were the questions that I felt that I did well. There were certain other questions where the interview panel tried to put me in a situation and gauge my response. And those were the ones that I was very careful about, and I gave very guarded answers. So I think overall, the interview preparation process and the number of mock interviews that I attended all prepared me for the final day.
Wonderful, wonderful. Kunal, how did you go about addressing this examination? What was your strategy like? What was your optional subject? And how did you go about preparing for the entire exam, be it prelims, mains, and then, of course, talk to us about your optional as well.
Sir, this examination is definitely a very long drawn process, and the examination itself takes 1 year. During the stages, the time is 1 year. So the biggest challenge is to maintain consistency and discipline as per me. So I was working, so I think it helped me in a certain sense, though the time was less, but I had less time to think about unnecessary things. So it keeps you focused on things you want to focus upon. And there is limited time and you can only do a limited number of things in that time. So discipline came with it. And regarding prelims, if I can go stage by stage, for prelims, sir, I think reading basic books is enough and minimal material is enough, because the cost becomes too high to get even one question more right after a certain threshold point. So there is no point reading unnecessary amount of materials and books and all that. So my focus was on solving questions and trying to optimize my attempts that I would be taking in the prelims exam. So solving as many number of questions as one can, deciding by the person itself. So this was my strategy for prelims. Regarding me, sir, I had never done answer writing before my prelims. Ideally, it should not be the case, but it was so in my case. So I stuck to a schedule of a test series, and that was my focal point of my mains practice, because answer writing is the key. Everybody knows that. And unless you write very good answers, you will not score high. So I made the test series focal point, and the test which was upcoming in the week, I used to study the content of that test for the whole week and revise it and then give the test regularly. So consistency again came here, and I did not miss many tests. I missed a few, but I tried to be as regular as possible. So ultimately, I think this following of this schedule helped me maintain my discipline and not wander about things, because my content was not very good and I was not very well read. So I focused more on my answers, presentations, and how I would manage my time, increase my speed, write answers in a manner which is very presentable to examiner. And I think this reflected in my main score too, which was the biggest factor for me getting into the list. And during interview preparations, there are few things, like Aparna mentioned, it is very much day-based. There is a certain amount of unpredictability, luck, subjectivity, which all comes into picture. So I was mentally ready for it. So I think it is more of a psychological battle rather than a knowledge battle. So we all have certain inklings about various topics or issues that we are reading. We are into the preparation phase. So being ready for anything that can occur on that day definitely helps. Though I did not score very good in interview phase, but I had prepared thoroughly for it. I can say that. So like I mentioned, referring to big picture discussions, just listening from different panel members, what retired bureaucrats or knowledge persons about what they think about different issues. So it kinds of come into your subconscious mind as well, that you start talking like it, you start speaking like it, you start thinking like it. So it definitely helped me shape up myself and my opinion over different issues. During interviews, my interview was not very much on expected lines, and there were some hiccups in the very first few minutes of my interview, and it did not go planned as I thought it would be. But overall, I came out after giving an average kind of an interview, and I got same kind of marks. So no complaints there now.
I'm glad that you feel that way, and you yourself have assessed yourself and assessed where you've gone wrong and where you stand. Saureesh, take us through your preparation. How did you go about it, and how is it different, than the Forest Service exam?
So first, coming to the difference between the exams. So the prelims is common for both of these exams. So the UPSC Prelims is similar for Forest Services. The cutoff is generally a little higher than the cutoff for the Civil Services examination. So I think for that, a lot of practice is required specifically on the prelims side. So my strategy for prelims has always been, as mentioned by my former friends here, former panelists, I have always stuck to just static books. There is a lot of material out there which has to do specifically with the current affairs aspect of the preparation. I mean, you can pick out any detail which comes in any random newspaper and article and then publish it as current affairs and say this is something which is important. But I think it is important to really stick to the static portion, for example, economy section or the polity section, where the chances, as mentioned earlier, if you get questions from such static fixed books wrong, you tend to lose out on a lot in comparison to, say, some obscure current affair facts, which it's okay for you to not know. You learn in the examination, you're like, oh, that's good to know. That's a good piece of knowledge that I didn't know about. And you move on to the next question that you can attempt. So I think developing something of that instinct requires you to appear at a lot of mock tests for prelims. But I must admit, over the years, it has there are a number of questions which require you to apply the techniques of elimination or to use your knowledge to solve the question partially, to try and solve the paper. It is something which is increasing these days. And again, that is why it becomes important to hone that skill, because you can't do that in the exam hall itself. So that's what I tried for prelims. For mains, sir, I have had an issue with clearing mains in my initial few attempts. So I realized that the problem that I was facing was with completion of the paper. So I think writing mock tests is important here as well, but there you really have to focus people specifically who find it difficult to get to complete the paper. And completion, I mean, you at least try and hit 19 questions out of 20, 18 questions out of 20. So I tried to focus on that by writing a lot of tests and specifically focusing on my speed, because you cannot, the kind of competition that is there in the exam right now, and everybody knowing everything about the exam process as such, you cannot hope to counter that with just say 14 quality answers or 17 quality answers. Everybody is writing 20 questions. You missing out on one question is going to pull you down by 100 ranks. So that was something that I specifically worked on this time to try and complete the paper. I did manage to do something of that sort in the exam hall as well. And finally, for the interview, sir, it's just, as I've mentioned earlier, the unpredictability goes up manifold. The exam process in itself is unpredictable, but in the interview process particularly, it goes up manifold. So yes, the interview for me as well didn't go along the predicted lines, but I did prepare for it well. I had covered all of the sections in my DAP and was watching a lot of these videos to try and ingrain what senior bureaucrats, retired bureaucrats who've been in the system think about different issues of the day. So it's important to try and frame your opinions and then hope for the best and see what happens on that day. Other than that, and anything that ends well it's just fine. So thankfully, that's what's happened. So that is all. That is how I would try to go about my preparation. And my option was chemistry. So my reason for selecting that option was because I had interest in that subject during my JEE days, and I wanted to go back and explore a science subject again during my option, because you need to repeatedly revise such a subject. So you really need to be in love with your subject, because after a while you might want to give up with the subject. So it really has to be something that you are very sure about. So that is what I tried for.
Absolutely. Thank you for taking us through your preparation journey. Nivrutti, let me come to you now. Since you've taken this exam a few times. Was it difficult this time around, considering, you know, we had the pandemic, we had the exams being postponed, but so many other things going on, plus you spoke about your job as well. So was this attempt, you know, how was this different from the other attempts? And take us through your optional and how you went about preparing for it.
For me, this attempt was the most chilliest attempt, because till 17, 18, I was going for exam with full preparation like aspirant. This time I was really officer, in the sense that by God's grace, I have really, my knowledge, my ability to clear prelim has been very commendable. Since I started my preparation, I'm clearing prelims with minimum 20 marks margin. So that has been a confidence boosting factor. So clearing prelim has never been a big challenge for me. But when it came
so what
to
was
mains,
Nivrutti doing different? What was the Nivrutti doing differently that you could
for that,
clear
we'll
the
have a
prelims?
special session.
Okay,
Because
done. We'll have a special session on that. Fine. You're on mute, Nivrutti now. Yeah.
Extremely sorry, there is some glitch actually. I will repeat. Yes.
No problem.
So in this attempt, what was the problem? Answer writing practice. As I was working and I was little lethargic also. I was not disciplined basically. I was engaged with so many things, and then I used to pamper myself with so many different things. I was not disciplined. But how I managed it this time, I was daily devoting 4 hours. After my job was okay, means like 6 to 7 hours of working. So because of that, I used to be like normal. So 4 hours a day I used to devote for reading. In this attempt, there was one special thing that I took anthropology as optional. In the previous 5 attempts, I was having socio as my optional. But this attempt, I took a risk that I will go with anthropology. So anthro and socio is having a huge overlapping. Because of that, I was little confident about anthropology, but paper 1 of anthropology was a big challenge for me. Fortunately, I'm having a good couple of doctor friends who helped me in understanding some of the concept of genetics and physical anthropology. So because of that, the preparation became easy for anthropology. Second paper was of anthropology was comfortable for me, as I was having socio my optional. So because of that, I managed my optional. But this time, unfortunately, I was not able to devote time for general studies. I couldn't devote that much. I could just write 5-6 tests, which is not enough to score good marks and to get a very good rank. So this is how that was a lacuna in this year's preparation. But I think with the God's grace and with luck, I will say this time I could score decent marks in essay and anthropology. I was most scared of anthropology. I will accept on your national channel also. I couldn't write a single mock test of anthropology. Still, I could score 286. So that is how it has been. When I used to practice so many things that I never scored well. But when I was so like this, means, but my conceptual clarity is there. Means I want to accept that there is a conceptual clarity. I was having past knowledge of sociology. Because of that, I could score well. But I didn't write a single mock test due to lack of time. I couldn't get that much leave also, but office was very workload wasn't that much. Because of that, I could manage my studies. So this was different. Interview has never been my forte, unfortunately, since like I would like to accept that this is my 5th interview in a row. So one of the so-called seasoned players in CSE, but I could score average, and because of that, I could get a okay rank. Means like 160 is okay rank in the sense that I was not that sure about my interview also, but okay, 150, 156, 150, 60 was needed in my previous attempt to become in like to, break that ceiling of 600-700 में हमेशा rank आता था. तो to get into top 200 or top 100, I needed 160, 117. This attempt I could get that. So it's been a lucky attempt for me. I will say that the most casual attempt, because my friend, I used to call it as exam spa, because I used to take a leave for an exam and I will travel with my family to Bhopal. Like my center was Bhopal, so we used to enjoy. Means I gave it little tension with most, what you can say, not casual. I was sincere, no doubt, but I was not having any pressure of like burden of outcome. Because of that, I think this was a key to success: mental stability, financial security, and used to multitasking, working, managing kid, managing family responsibility. Because of that, I think I became a very good multitasker, and hopefully this should continue in the future also.
It will, I'm sure it will, because you're sincere, you're honest, and you say things as it is, and that's what we want. And I'm sure that you'll do wonderfully well, and you have a great career ahead of you, and you'll do all of us proud. Thank you for being so candid and frank and sharing all those aspects with us.
I'm trying to
you need
live up
guts.
to your name. I'm trying to live up to your name, though I'm not able to live up to my name.
No, but it will all happen. It will all happen and you'll do wonderfully well. And my best wishes are always with you. And I know Ishwara will bless all of you and you all will do wonderfully well.
Thank you so much.
Finally, before I let you go, words of advice that you would like to give youngsters to follow in your footsteps. Aparna, let's start with you.
Well, I don't have as much experience with this exam as maybe Saureesh and Nivrutti, and even maybe Kunal. But my only advice would be that give every attempt with 100% sincerity, because there's a lot of unpredictability and luck in this exam, and anybody can make it in their first attempt, second attempt. So give your 100%, be consistent and disciplined, and stick to the requirements of this exam. Not just gaining knowledge, but stick to the requirements of this exam. Yeah.
Absolutely. Kunal?
Sir, I don't have much to say about advices as per, but all I can say from my learnings and experience, I would say don't be scared like me. I could have attempted after my graduation as well, but I did not because I was scared. So don't let the fear come in your way. And I think when you are fearless, things move in a certain manner, in a positive direction, because I believe that the whole energy becomes like that, that the obstacles are removed on their own and things start moving in a particular direction and works for you. So fear should not be there. Obviously, there is fear of expectations, pressure, outcome, and all these things. But trying to manage that fear, I think, is the biggest key, if I could say so, for this examination.
Saureesh?
Sir, I just want to say that what I have learned from this long journey is that continuous and constant effort is what holds the key to success. I discuss it a lot with my friends, sir. We all come up with the story that the exam probably is a two-door thing. So you open the first door through your constant effort, and the second door is one which involves all of the uncertainty, the luck, and provenance, whatever destiny, whatever you would like to call it. So you just, for the second door to open and for you to get in, you need to open the first door. So every attempt, as mentioned by Aparna and Kunal as well, you need to continually keep giving efforts. You never know when that second door opens for you. It might be open and you might not put in the effort thinking that this is an unpredictable exam. So you never really get in there. So always make sure that you open that first door so that if the second door is open that year for you, you walk right through it. And second, sir, specifically for friends who have written multiple attempts, I would just like to say that it's really important that you analyze what you think you are doing wrong. And it so happens that sometimes you do feel that you have done everything right. You have to be a little dispassionate and analyze your mistakes. But if you do feel that there's nothing as such very drastically different or wrong that you're doing in comparison to, say, people who you see clearing every year, don't be too harsh on yourself. Believe in the preparation, go on, make that effort again, and it is going to reap benefits. So it is important to really be happy, feel confident in yourself, and make sure that your mental health is not affected by feelings of self-doubt, which do creep in after multiple attempts, where you start thinking maybe I'm doing something very wrong, or I'm not up, I'm probably not made for this. So I would just like to say this to the medium of Bharata First today, that it's essential that you keep your peace, you keep your mental health first, and only then can you actually make that effort to try and clear the exam. So good luck to everybody, and I hope it works out for everyone else who's toiling in this.
Absolutely. Very well said, Saureesh. Nivrutti, final closing comments from you.
Focusing on fundamentals is very important in the process, because we are now living in the era of information overload. People are flooded with resources. So focusing on fundamentals. Second, consistency is very important, where I lagged somewhere in between some of the attempts. Third, I think this process learns you patience, That patience is very important. And I feel that personally, I feel that you should be grateful to what you're doing. Like सब दिन अच्छे नहीं होंगे, कुछ दिन कभी कभी अच्छे दिन आएंगे, तो अपने प्रिपरेशन भी ये होता रहेगा हमेशा. Be a smart worker. Just don't use smartphones. Really, smart work is needed. Like you see all the papers, prelims or mains, you need a smart work. It's not donkey work now. UPSC expect you to be a very smart. And I feel that, as I said, I have learned through my journey that introspection is very important. Though sometimes we are little emotional about the. Even I got too much attachment. I have accepted in front of my wife that sometime I was more in love with UPSC than you. So this was a frank thing that should not happen. You should be little impartial and dispassionate. Though I can't be a Nishkam Karma Yogi, but are on the verge of that. At least to a certain extent, that detachment has to be there in the exam process. Otherwise, it is really going to affect your mental stability and health. So this is it. Being grateful and focusing on fundamentals. That's it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's no doubt about it. We have to be grateful for what we have in life and be positive and try and be stress-free. And that will ensure that life itself is better. And when life itself is better, everything else becomes that much more easier. Thank you so very much to all the four of you for being here and being so candid. It is one of the most candid talks that I've had in a really long time. Thank you all for being candid. Thank you all for sharing, and pleasure having you all here on Bharata First. Well, before I go, once again, let me remind you to like the video, subscribe, hit the bell icon, and share the video as well so that more people get to know about Bharata First. You can also subscribe to our newsletter to get some incisive content. If you like the content, please contribute to keep it alive. A small contribution that you make will be a giant leap for us to keep bringing you this content. Let me also inform you that we have some massive discounts at the Knowledge Center, and we will be closing registrations for the existing packages soon. This is your last chance to get these offerings. Go to kc.bharatafirst.com and register now. Don't miss out on this amazing learning experience. Hundreds are already reaping the benefits of the Knowledge Center, and so many of them have gained through it. And we've seen through the UPSC CSE 2020 itself that how the Bharata First Knowledge Center and Bharata First have helped many of the toppers in their journey. So you too, don't miss out. Be a part of this great learning experience and learn in a new way. Register now at kc.bharatafirst.com. All this information along with some must-see recommendations are in the description of the video. Please go through it. That's it from me. See you again next time.